Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're just going to wait a couple minutes for everyone to join, and then we'll get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you for waiting, and we're very excited. My name is Marissa, and I am the Content Marketing Manager here at Feedvisor. We'll be talking today about maintaining profitability in a challenging market environment. I have my host, Victor Rosenman, the CEO here, but first, a couple housekeeping items. Just want to let you know that this is being recorded, so we will be sending the recording later. It should be about 45 minutes with some Q&A at the end, so please feel free, answer, and put any questions in the Q&A. So thank you. Without further ado, here's our host, Victor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. Let's start. So in the webinar today, we will cover the very precious topic for all the sellers is how you can really maintain the profitability in the environment that is far from being certain. We'll start by looking at the current market environment. We'll understand the trends. Then we'll look into the strategies and how do you really use these strategies to win on Amazon, and how then you maintain connection between understanding the market and optimizing. And we'll finish with the integrated approach to the optimization and how it really can be benefiting all of you. So let's dive in. So we start with the current market environment. When we have done the consumer survey recently, and we asked people what's really influences your purchases, is clearly the inflation came on top of everything, because obviously that's the reality today. You see it on the news, you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. But when you look deeper, it's really the price that have the unique impact on pretty much everything around. It has impact both on people's decision to buy. It has the impact on people, on the way that people look into the actual price. Is it a deal? Is it a discount? Is it a better price? Is it a worse price? There's a lot of psychology involved here. And it comes to how much money people can really spend on a given product. So price is pretty much the king of all of this. So let's dive in and understand how really price impacts the purchasing decision. And when we look into this, I would say we can split the question into two. First, we can look at the price versus perceived value in isolation. So looking at isolation, it would mean basically if you're looking to buy a product, and as you're looking to buy a product, there's no other product exists. And then for that product, you need to decide, are you buying it or not? So that's where the price versus perceived value comes into play. There's a certain amount of money you can spend on the product, and as the price goes up, usually that willingness to buy decreases. Then when we take one step back and we don't look at the price in isolation, but we looked into the price of your product versus price of alternatives. And these alternatives can be direct alternatives like substitute of a product, and it can also be indirect alternatives. So if we take an example, let's say an airline ticket. So when you're buying an airline ticket to fly from here, from New York to Boston, then you would look at multiple airlines. They will be the direct substitutes, but there's also a train. So train is indirect substitute, but it still influences the price of what people are really willing to pay. Let's say if train is substantially cheaper than the airlines, we will see that people are actually paying less for the airline ticket. The very same thing happens in the pricing dynamic on the e-commerce marketplace such as Amazon. And when we really come to understand how people are buying, it's pretty much a combination of these two graphs. So obviously, if your product is priced more attractively than the alternatives, more people will buy, so you will see higher conversion rate. At the same time, demand plays as well, because at a certain point of time, people say, okay, you know what, it's too expensive, I'm not going to buy. Or there can be a price point when everyone forgets about everything and simply go and buy this product. So let's look deeper and see how what we have learned before is actually influencing the strategies that you have in order to win in Amazon Marketplace. The very basic way to start and plan your strategy is by looking to your catalog and segmenting it into 3 different groups. The first segmentation that you probably would want to do is segmentation of the demand. There are some products that are popular, they're being found in search, and you can see how many searches leading to that product. You can see the number of orders, you can see in Amazon in your sales rank. So there's clearly a demand. And then there are products that don't have enough demand. And then when the products do have a demand, we have 2 segments. And this is where the buy box come into play. In one segment, it's your branded product. And for that product, you own the buy box pretty much. Occasionally, maybe someone competing with you, but you mainly owning the buy box. And in the other cases, you fight for the buy box. All 3 segments, the segment where you fight for the buy box, the segment where you own the buy box, and the segment where you lack demand, are the 3 different segments you need completely different treatment. And what we're going to do here at the webinar is we're going to look one by one inside each of these segments and identify what the strategy works best to win in that particular segment. And obviously, when you look at the entire product catalog, you can very well have products in all 3 of those segments. So some products will have, well, you will have the buy box and they will be popular. Some products where you would have limited demand. And in some products, you will have to fight to win the buy box. So let's start. We will start with the case where you actually own the product. And typically, you would own the buy box of that product. It would be, in this case, a popular product that is either private label, branded, exclusive, or simply you are the one who have access to this product in general, and you're the one who own the buy box. So when you own the buy box, your main question that you should be asking yourself is, what do you really want to achieve here? Do you want to grow a market share and maybe be more aggressive on prices and have, let's say, more units to sell, appear higher on searches, have a better search ranks? Or you want to maximize your profits and maximize your dollars? So as we're heading into the holiday season, the second strategy is probably the most common. While during the course of the year, very often you would see people doing the first strategy, where you want to grow the market share, get known, get familiar with the buyers, and then at that point, they will look into your product and will make a decision when the demand is highest, which is basically during the holidays, the upcoming holidays. So when we have these 2 different approaches, we have 2 different strategies. So the first strategy is you want to sell more units, you want to grow your market share, you want to increase your organic ranking. The right strategy here is revenue optimization. And the revenue optimization will find the optimal price point where the amount of units sold is maximized. Now, as we will see in a second, it's not always that when you want to maximize the amount of units sold, you need to sell at the lowest price. Sometimes selling a product at $20 and $21 will result in exactly the same demand, but selling at $22 will have completely different demand. So you really need to find that point. For the strategy of maximizing profit dollars, what you want to achieve is you want to find the price point where the overall profit dollars are maximized. You may have slightly less units to sell, but your overall price can be slightly higher. And as a result, your total aggregate dollars that you will make in profit will be higher as well. So let's look into how it actually works, right? So we talked before about the fact that you have to deal with, in pricing, you have to deal with two factors. The first factor is propensity to buy, which is driven by price. And the second factor is the competitive environment, which is driven by the alternatives. What it comes into play is when you look now narrowly from the eyes of your own product, you would see sometimes different patterns of demand. And these different patterns of demand are caused by both the propensity to buy and by the fact that you have competitors with their own products. So let's look at the first graph on the left. This is what's called the elastic demand. So demand decreases as the price increases, and demand increases when the price decreases. So in that case, choosing the right price is relatively simple, right? So if you want to have most units, choose the one on the left, the lower price. If you want to have the more of the profit, choose the one on the right, and then we'll find the optimal point. Now, life gets more complicated in reality. And this is where it becomes the inelastic demand. So inelastic demand is you have a certain product, you raise the price, and you barely sell the same amount of units, give or take. And in that case, it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep the price lower. What we actually have seen in a lot of the customers we have been working with is there is unspoken assumption that always you will lower the price, you will have more demand, and you will raise the price, you will have substantially less demand. And in 70 to 80%, this is not true. You can slightly raise the price, you can even more raise the price, and then demand will stay more or less the same. So this is the case of inelastic demand. Now, the third graph is the most interesting and actually the most common. And the third graph is the demand initially is inelastic until it becomes very elastic. And the reason for that is very simple. Let's assume you now priced below what would be the fair price considering the competition. The competition doesn't have to be priced the same. As in the example before, the train and the airline tickets are not priced the same. There are different ways to travel, but they compete. So when you compete against the other products, you don't have to be priced the same or slightly lower. People know to assign value to the price, and therefore, up to a certain point, you would be considered cheap or attractive. At a certain point, you are not attractive. So as you're considered cheap, sometimes you would see that the demand, you can raise the price and the demand will stay more or less the same. You will sell the same amount of units. And then suddenly you get into the area where price is no longer attractive. And as you get into this area, then suddenly demand drops. And this drop is very, very significant. It's very rapid. So again, here, it's super crucial to understand what this point is. What's the point that drives you the maximum profit? And then after that point, you actually drop demand substantially. So as we move forward, this is the example how you operate this in Feedvisor. So in Feedvisor, you basically can define the business objective. And the business objective can be, let's say, profit optimization if you want to optimize for the overall profit, or revenue optimization if you want to optimize for the overall units. You define the floor and the ceiling prices, which identify the range. The price can happen, and the rest is taken care of by the algorithm. You don't need to look into this every day. You don't need to do all these calculations, find the point where the price is optimal. The software will do it by itself. So now let's move into the second segment. And the second segment is life is a little bit more difficult because it's not only that you want to sell your product, you also need to fight the other sellers who happen to be on the very same listing. So here you get into the buy box pricing, and in the buy box pricing, very similar to the previous case, you really need to ask yourself the key question. And the key question you want to ask is, do you have an unfair advantage? So what is unfair advantage? Unfair advantage can be you produce the product and you have complete control over pricing, and you always can drive others out by lowering the price. Or you have unique agreement with your vendor, or can be anything else. And therefore, you can be having an advantage over everyone else by driving the price lower. But the whole story is you don't want to go and drive the price lower and basically go for the bottom. You want to drive others out of the market, and then you want to raise the price again. So this is the classic retail strategy of domination, and we call it the buy box domination strategy. If you don't have that advantage, if you cannot really lower the price below your competitors to make it unprofitable for them to sell, then you're going into the domain of the profit optimization. And in the profit optimization, you will not be able to achieve higher share of the buy box than your competitor, because if you raise the price, they will raise the price. You lower the price, they will lower the price. But you can play very sophisticated game, and game is the right word because it's coming from the game theory. And the game is, what if you signal to your competitor that you're actually willing to raise the price slightly? And if you're doing so, maybe some competitors will listen and some will not. If they do not listen, then it's tough luck. You will have to go what you can. But in many cases, the competitors do listen, and they see that you win the buy box and then you raise the price, and actually you're signaling them that you open to sell the slightly higher price. They will reciprocate, they will raise the price, and then the interesting things happens, because you're getting the same buy box share, but you now all selling at slightly higher price. The price is still within the same reasonable range as we have seen in the previous case. So everything we saw before still applies. The prices still need to be such that the alternative products are not way below you, but at the same time, as you facing the second front of competition with the other sellers, you're actually signaling them to get into the right range. So combining these two, combining this option of the buy box pricing that you can go and define here and have either optimize profit or dominate the buy box. Combining that with the previous objective of optimizing profit overall and looking into your alternatives, that's where it really plays out. And this is where you have this unique advantage. So we spoke about how to deal with the cases where you fight for the buy box, for the cases where you own the buy box. Both cases assume you have a demand, this is a popular product. What do you do if you don't have the demand? If you don't have the demand, what you should not do for sure, you should not play with the price. It's not going to help. You're going to lose the margin and you're going to have exactly the same results. What it will help is you need to go and increase demand for your product. So you need to go and advertise. And in the Feedvisor 360 solution, what we do is we provide advertising optimization engine along the pricing optimization engine. And advertising optimization includes a variety of areas. It starts from the sponsored products, it goes into DSP, it goes to sponsored products and sponsored display. And when you dig within, it's really about which keywords do you find, how you optimize the bids so you can win the proper position on the page, how you're maintaining that your cost of advertising ECOS is reasonable, how you manage the budget balancing. So you not put too much budget in one place and too little on the other, and how you really can take this multidimensional action where you connect the pricing action to the advertising action, so they don't act one against the other. So for example, if you decide to bring a lot of demand, and then you see that the response of consumers to this demand is relatively inelastic. That means you can slightly raise the price. So as you slightly raise the price, you're seeing more or less the same conversion rates. But at the same time, you now offset some of your advertising costs with the additional profit margin you created. So you kind of solve both things at the same time. You increase your demand and you offset the cost, the advertising cost of increasing the demand through slightly raising the price. And maybe if you raise the price too much, the demand disappears, and then you spend time and money advertising, and it goes to nothing because your conversion rates falls down. Finding that right price point that will go together with your advertising requires this multidimensional action. And this is how typically advertising optimization reflects in the Feedvisor interface. You can see all your campaigns. You can see on every product what's the impact of the actual advertising. So it's not only how your campaigns are doing, that's great, your campaigns are fantastic, they're doing great ACOS, but guess what, the product do not move. So it's really important to understand how your products actually impacted by the advertising, how your margins are impacted by advertising, and which campaigns are doing better, which campaigns are doing worse in context of that particular product. Again, it's all crucial to make the very, very same decision of finding the right price point, finding the right level of demand, either organic demand or the sponsored demand through advertising, and making sure that it all acts in synchronized and highly optimized manner. So we spoke a lot about a lot of topics here. So I want to take one step back and run you through this kind of one-page summary of how to make these decisions. So you start by looking at your catalog, as we discussed. You limit or you split your products into 3 different buckets. The popular products you fight for the buy box, the products where you own the buy box and they're still popular products, and the ones that you have limited demand. If you fight for the buy box, your main question is, do you have an unfair advantage? If you do, go ahead, use the domination strategy, win the buy box, show others the door, and raise the price. You will have amazing profits. You don't have an advantage, not a problem. You can go with the profit optimization strategy. You will be able to signal to others that you're not only willing to win the buy box, but at the same time, you are open to win it and share it on the higher price, making profits better for everyone. You own the buy box. Now you need to decide, are you going for the market share? Or as we spoke before, during this period of the year, you may want to go for the profit in dollars. Depending on that, you choose the right strategy. If you want to improve units, go with the revenue optimization. You want to increase profits, go with the profit optimization. Now you have the limited demand. That's a tough position to be, especially before the holiday season. Unfortunately, everyone has these products. So how then you dealing with that? You also need to ask yourself the very honest question: do you really want to keep that product? If you want to keep that product, go ahead and advertise. If it's a loser, don't spend time on losers, because that's the best way to destroy your holiday season. And when we're working with customers, we always advocate for them to ask this question very honestly: is this the product you want to keep? If you don't want to keep the product, you have a strategy called liquidate. The liquidation strategy will try to get rid of this product as soon as possible, so you don't, maybe even at loss, maybe at no profit, so you don't need to deal with it, and then you focus on those that are winners. Focusing on products that winners is actually the strategy that drives the most profits all the time. So we spoke about the optimizational aspect. And as we speak about the optimization, it's also very, very important to always assess the market and always understand where you stand versus the competition, where you stand versus buy box, where you stand in your profit, where you stand in your inventory. And this is where Feedvisor came up with a product or a sub-product, I would call, offering that is called integrated analytics. Integrated analytics enables you to connect the configuration of the pricing and advertising engines to the actual performance you're seeing in the market. So you can go and look into the various aspects of demand generation, such as the advertising view. You can see how much demand you generate, how much do you spend to generate this demand, and through which campaigns. In the performance view, it enables you to look into your overall performance of your products, including advertising, including returns, and understanding which products are really driving the performance, which are selling the most, which are the most profitable, where you need to put your focus. If you see that certain products do exceptionally well, maybe you want to advertise them more, so you can see even better results. Maybe for these products, you want to become more aggressive. You have enough profit margin, but if you maybe slightly lower your floor price, you can have even more profits. And it will create substantial increase for your overall performance. Profitability is the key. This whole webinar is about profitability. Not understanding profitability, not understanding where your money is being spent. Obviously, you sell the product, but you need to know how much does it cost you to sell the product. And the cost is not only cost of goods, it's also Amazon fees, it's also various fulfillment fees, but it's also the cost of advertising. So you need to understand that you, by advertising, by creating demand, you're really improving the profitability of the product. And then you can obviously go and see the returns and see that you want to focus on the products that have lower returns rather than those that have high returns. Because, for example, we have seen this in multiple cases with our clients when suddenly a customer would put a lot of attention into more and more advertising, spend a lot of money, drive the sales just to see that most of the product being returned. So the product with the higher level of returns is something that you need to take into account while you're building this strategy. So all these views together, they naturally combine with the optimization engines. And here you have, I would say, a schematic representation of optimization in action. So the optimization starts by listening to signals. It starts by looking into promotions, into competition, in demand, in various characteristics of your product, in various trends, in advertising campaigns and cost per clicks. All this information is being processed and submitted into the AI. AI learns this information. It calls the features of the machine learning model. So it learns all these features and making actions. The actions we make are the pricing action and advertising actions, and we're making them simultaneously. And that's what we're really proud of in Feedvisor, because we're the only software today that is capable to make these two actions simultaneously in the way that their impact is maximized. And that leads to the increase in orders. Then you use the integrated analytics to understand if the performance, if the profitability or the returns, they align with the strategy you selected. And therefore, if necessary, you can adjust the optimization parameters and come back and again, repeat this process. So that basically gets us to our final slide. And this is what Feedvisor is all about. We start by inventory. We're analyzing the inventory velocity. We look at inventory availability. We help you to execute the advertising optimization and drive more demand. And we execute the price optimization to ensure conversion and impact the profitability. The analytics gives you the 360 view, and you really can, at any given point of time, you can adjust your strategy and refocus. And this is why Feedvisor has been so successful. This is why more than 10% of Amazon top sellers adopted Feedvisor. This is one of the largest advertisers on Amazon is using Feedvisor to drive hundreds of millions of products every month. Then this is why we manage more than $100 million in monthly ad spend, and we manage more than $6 billion in annual GMV. So I think that's about it from my side. I'm more than happy to take the questions soon.
Yes, so just real quick, thank you everyone for tuning in today. We're very excited. We have an exclusive offer here for you. We have a 20% off here for our award-winning repricer. You just want to scan that QR code, we'll get you all set up and we'll get a meeting ready for you. So Victor, you had some really timely points made in there. We do have some questions here from the audience. Real quick, why would I choose a revenue optimization strategy over profit optimization strategy?
Sure. So as we discussed, the revenue optimization helps you to focus on units and the market share, and the profit optimization helps you to focus on increasing the overall profit. So depending on what your objective is, that's a strategy you should select.
All right, next one up here. Can I use more than one strategy at the same time?
So that's a great, actually. The answer is no. You should never use more than one strategy at the same time. And the strategy should really be driven by your business objective. So you look at your catalog, you're looking at your products, and you understand what your objective is. You're hitting the holiday season, you probably want to go and improve the profitability. After the holiday season, you're introducing new products. You may want to build their search ranking. You may want to focus on units. You're looking into the buy box domain. You have an advantage, go ahead, dominate. You don't have advantage, go for the profit. It would very rarely require you to mix those at the same time.
Thank you. Is there an ideal profit margin I should be aiming for or can expect?
Yeah, that's a question we're being asked a lot, all the time. The answer is, it very much varies for the category, for the subcategory, for the different periods of the year. So there is no really golden standard. And even if there is one within a particular category, it varies month to month.
Right. How much time should I give each strategy before switching? We give this a lot, so.
Yes. So I would say that you should only switch the strategy when your business objective changes. So if, for example, you compete for the buy box and you suddenly have an unfair advantage, then you should immediately switch to the dominate. You will see better results. If your business objective doesn't change, if you have the same situation, there's no reason for you to switch the strategy. Strategy stays the same. You can switch floor price, you can switch ceiling price, you can go and change floor price and change ceiling price, you can go and increase the advertising budget. That's all good, but you probably wouldn't change the strategy itself.
Okay, and last question here. How can I know which price is ideal for each strategy?
That's where you need to use Feedvisor. That's exactly where it's very hard for a human to understand what the right price, because you need, as I showed before, you need to take into account all these multiple variables. And these multiple variables are really the ones that influencing. So you need to let the AI to do the work and find the right price in any given moment.
All right, thank you so much, Victor. And thank you again to everybody here for tuning in with us. You will get a recording in your email probably this week. We're hoping to get it out on our website. So stay tuned for new information and hope you guys have a great Cyber 5. Bye.